Hello, today on Larissa's Kitchen I'm going to be making brioche. Now brioche is a rich, dense bread made with a lot of butter and a lot of eggs. This is going to hold up well to several different applications. So let's get started on the ingredients. Alright, we're going to make this bread the same way we've made all the breads in the past, where we start with a sponge. So I've got 2.5 to 3 cups of all-purpose flour in here. We're going to add in our heaping tablespoon of yeast, a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt, about 3 tablespoons of the vital wheat gluten, a heaping third of a cup of white sugar, 3 eggs, and a whole cup of butter. That's 2 sticks cut up. We will also need to add in about 2 cups of milk warmed. Now this milk does need to be at about 110 to 120 degrees. Once this is all mixed together into our sponge, we'll go ahead and add probably close to 3 more cups of flour to this. Alright, we're going to get started with the dry ingredients first. So let's go ahead and get our sugar added in, the wheat gluten, salt, and yeast. Alright, so let's get this stirred up. Alright, and then you can see this milk is at right around 118 or so degrees. That's perfect. So let's go ahead and dump this in and mix it by hand so that it doesn't fly everywhere. Alright, let's get this on the mixer and get it going. Alright, while this is running on low, let's go ahead and start putting our butter in, a couple of cubes at a time.
Once all the butter has been incorporated, add the eggs one at a time, and then keep the mixer going on medium speed to allow the sponge to develop. Once the sponge starts sheeting, we can add the rest of the flour and change over to the dough hook. Don't forget to scrape down the sides. At this point, the mixture smells more like cake batter than bread dough. Add at least 3 more cups of flour. And it's back on the mixer for several more minutes.
Alright, let's check this. No, it's not sticky at all. In fact, it wouldn't be sticky because of all the butter we've put in here. But we do need to let this continue to develop a little bit longer. So I'm going to let it knead for at least 5 more minutes, probably close to 10. During this time, you should get your container ready that you're going to let this rise in. It's going to sit on top of the countertop for about maybe an hour to an hour and a half, whatever it needs to fill that container while it's rising. Alright, we want to work this not very much because we don't want to melt too much of this butter. So we just want to kind of get it into shape. Alright, and then get it into your container. Okay, now I've greased the top of this lid because this is going to rise all the way up and I don't want it to stick to this lid. Now I'm not going to seal the lid because I don't want to lock in any of the gas. So let's let this go. We're going to let it rise all the way to the top and then we'll deflate it. Alright, this has been about an hour and a half. You can see it reached all the way to the top. We're going to go ahead and deflate this. This is too soft to take out and reheat. That would be impossible. So all we have to do is just deflate. Alright, I'm not worried about reshaping this. We're going to loosely put the lid on again. This is going back in the refrigerator for another hour to an hour and a half until it reaches the same height.
When the dough comes out of the fridge, it will have stiffened up considerably. Deflate the dough again and shape and divide it into 3 equal parts. Roll each piece into a rough loaf shape and place it in an 8 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch greased loaf pan. Glass is fine and it will help you determine how brown the loaves are during baking. Let the loaves rise until they are puffy and domed above the loaf pan.
Alright, these loaves have been rising for about an hour now. We're going to go ahead and turn the oven on to 350 degrees. Now we want to let this oven warm for at least 30 minutes so these loaves will continue to rise. We are also going to cook this with the convection oven on. Alright, we're going to bake these for 35 minutes. Okay, the timer's gone off on these loaves, so let's go ahead and get them out on top of the stove. And I'm going to brush just a little bit of butter over the tops. Okay, like all bread, we're going to have to let these sit first. We'll let them sit in their pans for about 30 minutes. We'll depan them, and then they're going to have to rest for another 30 minutes on the cooling rack. Alright, it's been half an hour. These are still very, very warm. Alright, let's give these another half an hour, and then we can cut into them. Alright, it's been another half an hour, so let's cut into this. Okay. Alright, this is nice and warm. Let's give it a taste. Very yeasty, and even with all that sugar, it's still not that sweet. And we're going to let the mixer mix with the dough hook